Right, we're live.
Hi, and welcome to the meeting of the Executive Cabinet Member Climate Change and Environment, taking place on Monday the 18th of September 2023. I'm Councillor Richard Sylvester, the Executive Cabinet Member. So could I welcome councillors, officers and any member of the public watching this recording on the Bolton Council YouTube channel. Item 1's monitoring of decisions, and we've been sent a monitoring report. Can any decisions be taken off, previous decisions be taken off the report?
Councillor Sylvester, if any say complete this time,
Yes,
then
any completed, yeah.
they're only meant to be on once, and then I'll take them off for the next meeting.
Sure. I've seen two that say completed, one from the 18th of April and one from the last meeting, the 14th of August. But
I'll remove those for next time.
Sure,
yeah.
Sure. So I'm happy to note that report unless there's any questions. Okay, so I'll note that report. Item 2 is the Directorate of Place Finance Report 2023, Quarter 1. We go over to Janet for this.
Thank you, Chair. So this report, as the Chair mentioned, is the Quarter 1 finance report for the Directorate of Place. It covers the whole of the Directorate of Place, not just his portfolio. So the Directorate is projecting to overspend by £517,000. There are no significant variances for this portfolio. The key financial findings can be found on page 3 and service-specific findings can be found on page 17. There are no significant variances for this portfolio. So 100% of the 23-24 savings target has been approved and delivered. As previously requested by members, section 6.2.3 provides members with an update on the indicative inflation factors. And the Executive Cabinet Member is asked to note the report and to approve the recommendations in the report. I'm happy to take any questions.
So any questions for Janet from anyone? Yes, Councillor Mayor.
Thank you, Chair. Janet. I've just got a couple of questions. I've gone through the report in detail, so thank you very much for that. There's quite a lot of information to take on board. I just had a couple of things that popped out, if you wouldn't mind just clarifying. I noticed that in section 2.3, highways, engineering and parking, it infers that it's been a large spend, high level of demand for the use of urgent repairs and day-to-day maintenance budgets. So that's reactive costs. And my question really is, I've got several questions, if you don't mind, Chair, with regard to the report. So my first question is on this: is this a trend? Is it likely to carry on? Otherwise, it would mean to put pressure on the budget, won't it?
I'm quite happy to answer those questions. Unfortunately, they don't fall underneath Councillor Sylvester's portfolio. They're under the highways one.
Sure.
So if you don't mind, if you could send those so that they're asked at that portfolio meeting, that would be really helpful.
Okay, thank you. And the next question really is with regard to reserve. You've obviously highlighted that there's an overspend, and some of that overspend has been covered up by reserve. And what I'm seeing is a reduction in reserve. Is that likely to continue? Again, reserve is a good safety buffer.
Yes, the use of reserves will continue over the next few years. As a directorate, we don't have any general reserves, and as a result of that, if there is any overspend, we need to go back and look at all the specific reserves in there and then reprioritise the areas that we're going to use the reserves on. So it is a challenge. They're all spoken for, those reserves, and I am predicting that over the next couple of years they will significantly reduce.
Okay, thank you for that. my final question is with regard to 7.1.6 on decarbonisation. I was just a little concerned that it quoted that the overall costs associated with decarbonisation were known at this time. There's obviously public sector out there. There's quite a lot on this, and there's quite a lot of organisations coming up with quite robust plans with costings. So that didn't show enough robustness for me to give me confidence.
Okay, I will hand over to John in a second because it's his area. I think what I'm trying to say at that point is we are doing the work. There is a plan being drawn up, but I'm sort of just flagging to members that as things stand at the moment, there isn't a pot of money available for it. That said, once John comes up with the plan and an action plan, and then we can have a look at costing it. Some of it may be covered by the reserves because there may be things that I've already identified money for, but we don't know just until we've got that final plan. If I hand over to John.
Yeah, thank you, Janice. I think the point that you made in relation to there being no dedicated budget for climate change is probably the important point this evening. We obviously as members will be aware of a climate change strategy with a delivery plan over a period of 9 years, and that plan incorporates a wide range of projects, whether that be in relation to decarbonisation of our highway network, sustainable waste management, decarbonisation of our buildings, bringing forward more sustainable forms of energy usage, etc. So I think what we are doing, Councillor Mayor, is bidding for funding when that becomes available and where we have capacity to be able to deliver projects. And as we move forward, so for example, at the last meeting, we brought forward a report to the Executive Cabinet member which set out proposals to purchase some additional refuse collection vehicles which were to a higher environmental performance standard, Euro 6 engines. So again, we've identified capital spend within our budget, for example, for those projects. So we have, as I say, a series of commitments, but what we don't have is a dedicated budget per se for climate change. So it's difficult to be able to articulate in a report how much will be committed to climate change. But what we will do is continue to bring forward projects to the relevant Executive Cabinet member, which in many cases would be Councillor Sylvester, outlining, for example, project costs associated with a particular decarbonisation project and how they will be funded.
Okay, thank you very much for that, John, Janet, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mayor. I can't see any other councillor indicating to ask any questions. So therefore, I'm happy to note the Q1 financial position, and I approve revisions made to the capital programme, which fall under my portfolio.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to item 3, and this is a technical officer proposal. So are you taking us through this one, this report, John?
Actually, no, I'm going to say I'm joined by colleagues Laurie Hunter and Gary Parker. So I think, Gary, did you say that you were leading, or Laurie?
I'll lead on this one.
Great.
Okay.
Over to you, Gary.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So in January of the year, financial year 22-23, we had a joint services review in environmental services, which saw a saving of £640,000 being delivered, which included the disestablishment of a technical officer post. A review of the impact of that joint savings review, coupled with the introduction of new digital solutions across neighbourhood services in environmental services, has identified the need to re-establish that technical officer post. To fund that particular post, we need £48,000. To do that, we are looking to downgrade 2 D grade posts to B grade posts, saving £7,000, and disestablish a charge hand post, saving £41,000, which could be used to fund that particular post. But it's really important to note that downgrading the 2 posts and disestablishing the charge hand post, that they're all vacant posts. There's no impact on any individual in doing so. We've had a review of this. It stacks up financially. HR have been through this, legal have been through this, and we've spoken with the unions around this. The unions have asked that it's ring fenced to service initially, to see if we can enhance one of the roles of the existing members of staff, and a quality impact assessment has been completed for this, which is all in the report which has been circulated previously. So what we're asking for really is permission to sort of take those actions so we can then re-establish that technical officer post, which is funded to support our digital solutions and efficiencies across environmental services.
Okay, thank you, Gary. And Councillor Grant has indicated, and then we'll go over to Councillor Heslop.
Thank you, Gary. Just a quick query, really. When in 22-23, when the post was removed, was somebody in that post?
No, it was a vacant post as far as I'm aware. Is that correct, Laurie? I think we had somebody who actually left the service, which allowed us to disestablish that post. So nobody was made redundant. There was no redundancies or loss of jobs with that review that took place in the financial year 22-23.
Right, because that was my concern was, you know, if somebody had lost their job, we've paid out redundancy, and then just a year later we've gone, that job needs to come back again. It would have seemed a little bit short-sighted. I'd have questioned the original review if that was the case. But okay, I'm happy. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think we all have questioned it if that was the case, but it certainly wasn't. There was no loss of jobs at all in that environmental services, which was one of the benefits of the work that went into it across the workforce.
Okay, thanks for that. Councillor Heslop.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to look at the fact that these charge hands in Bolton and gain a fuller understanding of the charge hands. What did they do? And we've gone down to 6 FTE charge hands from 7, and this is where the proposed savings will be used for this technological post with
Technical
implementation.
Officer,
yeah, technological officer. You know, I've often said that we should be supporting the neighbourhoods, and so this I like, and I also feel that by getting this officer in place, it will demonstrate, hopefully, that the outer areas of the borough are indeed getting the service that they need and deserve. Presumably, the in-cab technology will be able to demonstrate that. So I'm wholly supportive of that. But as you know, passionate about the neighbourhoods, I want a fuller understanding of, is it £246,000 that we're currently paying for these charge hands, and what are the charge hands? So that's the first question I'd like to ask.
Okay, let's deal with that question first. Laurie's a lot closer to the actual day-to-day work of the charge hands, so I'm going to hand over to Laurie to answer that question.
Yep, so what our charge hands essentially do, so they have an enforcement element. So they will look after a group of teams. So in every area, north, south, west is how we've divided our workforce. You'll have 2 teams in each area at any one time. The charge hand will look after those teams and ensuring that they're prioritising work that's needed for those days, and they will kind of run between different teams to make sure that activities being completed as per our scheduled work. The charge hands also have an enforcement capability in our communities. So if they notice any black bag that's fly tipped, for example, they have the authority to open up the bag, look for evidence, knock on the front door, and issue a fixed penalty notice if need be. They've got the relevant training and authorization to do so. The town centre role obviously has fewer housing because it's very much limited to town centre. So what we're finding is that kind of team leadership role and a little bit of enforcement can be completed by other charge hands in the borough, as well as the team leader for the town centre area.
Now, Laurie, can I come back to them? Because the report says that these 6 charge hands are based in Bolton town centre. It doesn't make any reference to any other parts of the borough. And I know you mentioned it, you split it with 3 areas, but the report very specifically says that these charge hands are based in Bolton town centre. Is that not correct? Are they based all around the borough equally and fairly?
They are based all around the borough, yeah. I'm just trying to work out where it says just town centre. I think it's
at the bottom of page 4, Laurie.
Thank you.
3.1.7.
The one that's being disestablished is for town centre. The other 6 are across the borough.
Right,
So
okay.
perhaps it's not worded as clearly. I apologise.
Right, okay, thank you very much, Laurie. And the second part of this question also relates to this, because what you've identified is there are 6 remaining FTE charge hands in post, but you also talk about the NCOs, these neighbourhood, I don't know what the full title is, but you don't mention how many are in place there. And have we actually got, the jump out thing for me was, have we only got 2 across the entire borough that we've reduced the grade down from D to B, or how many have we got right across the borough? And that's of keen interest to me for looking at our neighbourhoods and recreational areas. So the report doesn't mention that. It mentioned going from 7 to 6, the charge hands, but doesn't reference the NCOs, what the numbers are. There are another 3 levels. Could you give me some insight into that, please, Laurie? Through you, Chair, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So if you remember from the report and scrutiny a couple of weeks ago, there were 77 overall operatives. So if you take away 1 manager, that's 76. There's 4 team leaders, 70. I'm struggling with my maths now. 72. So when you then take away your 6 charge hands, what's left is NCO grade B to D. So there'd be 60 odd B to D operatives, neighbourhood care operatives ranging from B to D. So the 2 there, those 2 grade Ds that we're downgrading are 2 of a number of different grade D posts.
Right, okay.
They are indeed vacant at this point in time. What we're finding is, the example I think I gave in the report is around driving ability. Obviously, there are different job descriptions for B, C, and D. Using driving as an example, your grade B won't be driving. There will be litter picking. There will be emptying litter bins, that sort of thing. So they're very much a boots on the ground sort of operative, where the grade D will kind of manage 1 or 2 different crew members in a wider area.
And these are operating right across the borough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chair.
No problem.
No problem. Thanks for that, Councillor Heslop. We'll go over to Councillor Muslim now.
Thank you, Chair. And I always enjoy Councillor Heslop's diligence and making sure that everything is spread evenly across the borough. I was just going to ask, those positions that are vacant at the moment for the NCOs, how long have they been vacant for?
They've
Laurie,
been vacant for some time. So during the savings, whilst we were considering the savings review, they were vacant for that period of time. We were backfilling with agency. And now we're in a position where since the savings review, we've been filling all those vacancies, but we've held these 2 back because we were awaiting the outcome of this report.
Right. I'm just wondering then, really, is downgrading them, if we're struggling to recruit and fill them at the moment, is downgrading them going to make it harder to recruit those posts, or easier because you might get less, let's say, less skilled, for example, people applying for it, and therefore easy to hire? Or are we just downgrading it now in a report with what then to me feels like the inevitability of another report coming in a few months' time saying that we're actually just going to get rid of those posts?
Yeah, there's no intention to get rid of those posts. I think when we are looking at the number of vehicles that we have, the number of grade D posts that we have, i.e. drivers, sickness levels, that sort of thing, we've got plenty of drivers to cover our workforce to manage those vehicles. So I think that having those sort of boots on the ground sort of posts is probably what we're needing a little bit more of in the workforce. There's no intention of, we believe we can fill those grade B posts.
Right. Okay, well, I'll be interested to hear in a couple of meetings' time if we've actually managed to fill them or if they still remain vacant. But no.
Yeah, I suspect on our agency role that there will be interested candidates. We have some working for us at the moment that are on agency that I think would welcome the post. So I honestly don't feel we'll struggle to fill them.
All right, cheers. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Sure, thank you. We'll find out in due course, and thank you, members, for those questions, very important questions. Actually, Councillor Mayor now has indicated, so we'll go over to Councillor Mayor.
Chair, thank you for accepting my question there. I know it was a bit late. It's just listening to the conversations that's brought on what I wanted to say. I actually got a question, Chair. I just wanted to make a comment. I found reading the report quite pleasing. So I'd like to just provide some feedback, because it identified lessons that were learned. It acknowledged, in fact, that errors have been made or lessons have been learned, and there were corrective actions. And there's a proposal on the table, and I've listened to the questions and answers, and from listening to that, I'm quite happy to support that proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mayor, for that. So I'm therefore happy to approve the implementation of the proposed establishment changes. Okay, I think that brings us to the conclusion of this meeting, because there's no further items on the agenda. So the next meeting of the Cabinet Member for Climate Change and Environmental Services is on Monday, the 9th of October. So thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, I'll stop the recording, Chairman, if you're happy. Thank you. Just 1 second.